World War II is a period in world history that started on September 1st, 1939, and ended on September 2nd, 1945. And yet, these 6 short years would lead to effects on the world that lead up to the present day. The effects would come in political, economic, social, cultural, and technological, with many products devised during World War II that we have enhanced and still use today. The surrender of the Japanese to the United States in 1945 would end the Axis powers' war effort, and this started the rebuilding of Europe and also the realignment of power struggles within countries across the world. For example, former world powers, France and England, would diminish in their power, and they actually had to give up their colonial positions that they had around the world. France tried to keep their position in Asia, and this led to the action in Vietnam later. Russia went from a young country under a new communist system to a world power that was opposed by the United States, who was also rising on their own as a world power with a democratic system. The Cold War would come out of World War II, which would lead to the United States and Russia opposing each other in trying to get other countries to follow them and for a Red Scare across America. The Cold War would end with the United States winning, but some of the ramifications that came from the Cold War were distrust in Russia up to today by the United States, and for Russia, the end of an era of communist government and power. Some of the products and technologies that would have come out of World War II that lasted up to today include some that are military in nature, such as new planes, tanks, and military equipment. Radar came out of World War II, which eventually transformed into television. The atomic bomb, of course, was unleashed upon Japan, and this led to today with nuclear weapons that could destroy the world over and over. In that, we now have safety goals in sight with nuclear proliferation. We could think that we won't have the same issues with nuclear war. The infrastructures of many countries were developed, such as the United States, with highways through Alaska and highways throughout the United States being produced just in case they were attacked. Computers came out of World War II, which of course we know today the internet and computers pretty much brought the information highway to the world. Diseases and new medical procedures came out of World War II, which have impacted the world and led to higher life expectations. Common products that you could find every day in the United States that came out of World War II include the Zippo lighter that were produced for more efficient means of lighting cigarettes and fires during the war, and the Jeep, which has gone through multiple versions, but the CJ versions can still be found on the road today. Maybe one of the biggest effects that came out of World War II was the creation of the United Nations, when all the countries got together for the possibility of seeking out a world-type government so there could be peace. Monetary issues were also attached to the founding of the United Nations. And today, when there's problems, United Nations forces gather from countries that started after World War II, and they take on the conflicts. Even today, you could see with the presidential election of 2016, and the resulting media coverage that supposedly the Russians influenced the election, and the possibilities of Donald Trump, the president-elect, having relations with Russia, brings many people to an uncomfortable position, as we still see them as the enemy, even though the Russians and communism have decreased in power to the point that they are no longer seen as a strong enemy. The balance of power did change in the world with the rise of communism in China and, of course, Cuba. But today, the effects of Cuba are gone, and China is seen as a resounding threat to democratic countries. So you can see that from this 6 short years of World War II, how many effects would come to the world, how many things would be affected, and how many things would change with the world order. Thank you for listening to my speech. I'm Armando Martinez, and World War II is my passion.